In this video, I would like to show you how to hide and show the window from within the window controller class in JavaFX. Show and hide are methods of JavaFX window class, and there are a couple of ways that you can get the reference to your window. One way, when you do this from within the action handler, you get this event object. It actually has the reference to the source object, like our button, which generates this event. So we can do it like this. Of course, when you write the code, make sure to keep your imports up to date. So let's right-click and choose Fix Imports. So it prompts for JavaFX stage window, which is what we need, and JavaFX scene node, which is the part of the scene graph. Okay. All right, so we fixed this. So now we have a reference to our window, and now we should be able to say window hide. Okay, I just make sure that everything is working well. At least I'll try to clean and build. Okay, so that works fine. Alternatively, since we already have the reference to the button in our controller anyway, we can get access to our window just like this. Basically, take button, get the scene, get the window, and window hide should work the same way. So let's verify this syntax. I'm just going to again do a clean and build test. It finished fine. So I'm assuming this is fine. And since we don't really need to retain the reference to the window, we can choose the shortest syntax possible, something like this. So I'll just comment these two lines out and maybe try it just like this. Of course, this is my history window controller. And remember, we want the history window to stay invisible when the application starts, until the user clicks a button to take an action. So therefore, we need another method inside this controller to show the window. And I already added this method to the history controller class. I'll show you right now. It's called show window. So the same thing, only slightly different. The show method is protected inside the window class. So we actually need to obtain reference to the stage. So the stage will be representing the window, and then we can call show. So this is what I do. I get window and I just cast it to the stage reference, and that's how I plan to make the window visible again. So this is new method in our history controller class, and this is the update, this line right here. This is the update inside the window hide button handler. For the main window controller, in order to be able to call this method in the history controller, to be able to display the window which is hidden in the background, I made this a very simple change. So this is our main window controller, NY resolutions controller. So here I added a reference to the history controller. So this way our resolutions controller can talk to the history window controller, and also added a setter method for this history controller, which will be calling from the start method to set this up. And then once we have access to our history controller from the main window controller, when we click, for example, click done, right? So we update our data object, and then we make sure that the history controller shows its own window. And we can do the same thing with our oops button as well. So this will be the same approach. So both click done and click oops should be able to make the history window visible. For this to be possible, we added the reference to history controller and the setter method to set this up. Finally, in the start method, I made this addition here. So as soon as the history controller reference is available and we call set model, and then I make sure that the main window controller gets a reference to the history controller. And one final part here is that now the display of the history window is now commented out. So the window is constructed but should not be made visible from the very beginning. Okay, so let's do a very quick test of this new feature of hiding and showing the window. So now when the application starts, we just get the main window to be visible. And as soon as we click Done button or Oops, the history shows up. What's a bit annoying is that it covers the main window when it becomes visible. So we should probably push it a little bit to the side like this. So let's verify that the new functionality is still working. So we click Done, we click Oops, we can hide the window, we can make it visible again by supposedly both of these buttons, and we'll update the history window positioning in our next step. But for now, it seems like all the buttons are working as expected. So this is what we can do for the history window positioning. We can just try something like this. We can get the x coordinate of the main window. That let's just say that this is our main window. Okay, and so its x coordinate of this upper left corner, its x coordinate on the screen like this, which is the x coordinate. We can obtain it through primary stage get x. Then its width is also available through this get width call. Okay, so we can take this x position plus the width. Okay, so this is the width, and we can set the x coordinate of our history window to be this position right now. Okay, so this should be the x position of our history window. However, when you make this change, the y coordinate is also getting updated. So I'm just adding the second call to set y to make sure that the y coordinate of the history window, okay, is the same as the y coordinate of the main window. Okay, so these are the y coordinates, and in 2D graphics, and including our graphical user interface, the screen coordinates are measured from the top left corner because that's the only known place, because the screen resolution could change, it could be larger and smaller. The only certain thing that we know about the screen is the top left position. So the y coordinates going this way, okay, so from top to the bottom of the screen, and the y coordinates, so these are the y coordinates, and the x coordinates are going this way, right? So this is the axis for the x coordinates on the screen. So this is the update that I would like to try, just to see if we can reposition our history window when it gets shown. Okay, so let's save this change and do a quick test. Okay, so it shows like this, and when I click Done, so we get the history window shown, and it gets pushed a little bit to the side.